everybody, and welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've done one that's like fresh off the presses as far as eligibility on this show, because we're talking about a movie that is exactly 10 years old, Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Fresh in the morgue, baby. Fresh in the morgue.
Now, Scott, I know you and I have been like singing to the rooftops our praises for this movie since it came out.
Yeah.
So and you know what? It's been a hot minute since I watched it. One of my only notes was like, God damn, this movie's still good. Like, this movie's really good.
It's better than I remembered.
It's one of the very few notes I wrote down was, this very well might be my favorite horror movie of the last decade. Like, I love this movie so much.
This is up there, top 3 for me.
Yeah.
I bet. Well, maybe top 5. I mean, rewatchability, this doesn't have that like Ready or Not does, but fucking this movie is a masterclass in my opinion. It is just, honestly, I have no critique of it until the very last shot.
Ooh.
We'll get there though.
How about you, Kyle? Was this? I can't imagine this was a first watch for you, but
no,
maybe
this has got to be like third or fourth. And no, I love this flick. And it does. It holds up. I think that like some of the stuff that we've seen that we talk about that's like just around 10 years. I mean, even on this show, you know, some of it suffers in 10 years due to its own thing or just culturally and technologically the shifts that get made, right?
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel like it. I think there's like, if I were to give it one critique, and I think it's just probably about the rewatchability of it, because like I'm going in and I'm hearing the dialogue again and I'm like I really am being walked through the puzzle. Again,
yeah, but that's the problem with this style of story.
Right.
Yeah,
but the puzzle itself is, I mean, it's some jigsaw puzzles you are worth doing again. And this one is certainly worth, even though you know the picture, right? This one was certainly worth watching again. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I think for me, it's been so long since I watched it. I remembered the end zone. Like, I remember like what it is, who she is, but like the bobs and weaves and the breadcrumbs to get you there, I had forgotten so much of it. Like, I mean,
yeah, me too.
We'll go through plot points, but I mean, like when they find the second layer of skin, I was like, I completely forgot about this. This is great.
I did too.
Yeah. But Scott, how about you? You picked this one. How about you walk us through this masterpiece?
Okay, so I want to make a quick little editor's note here for the listener. We realize that this movie is a naked lady on a slab for an hour and a half. We understand that is problematic, but I would say that this movie, when it comes down to a movie with a female corpse nude through a significant chunk. Oh, actually, you know what? Any movie with nudity throughout a significant portion of it, I feel like this is one of the most respectful ways that they could shoot it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got to give them major credit for that.
She's a character.
It does not feel sexualizing at all.
No, who's actually, which I know that there was. I didn't write down the actress's name,
but
there is
Kelly.
There is so much given to her, both through her just like dead body performance, but then also like the storytelling of the camera. So it's so much not just about her dead body. Every time we're doing portions of the autopsy or learning more about her story, or any time that the camera does end up on her, there's a purpose, right? Like there is no there's very little voyeuristic intention.
It doesn't feel exploitative at all. Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. Which I think is fascinating for how much you do see the body. And need to see the body. Like there's a necessity. We talk about this with a lot of like very sensitive topics, like the death of animals in movies, or I mean, you're like just talking about nudity, or even some of the queer stuff that we've talked about in other like if there is a reason for it and a reason to show it, then you have to capitalize on said reason. Like you can't just be, you know, willy-nilly about it. So I don't know. I was realizing that on this watch, how every angle of the body was important. You know?
Yeah. And the interesting thing about like the reception portion of the wiki for this, most of the reviews were quite, charmed by the work that was done in it, except for the fucking Hollywood Reporter, which called it an unsatisfactory compromise of art house and exploitation film. I don't find this movie even remotely exploitative. It's really that
I don't even feel it art house either. It doesn't feel like either of those categories.
Yeah, it's very I don't know. This movie feels like just a really good supernatural mystery, and I find supernatural mysteries to be a hard sell for me. I am not the audience for them, but this movie is just a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, agreed.
No doubt.
So anyway, let's also get it out of the way that the director, I'm probably going to say his name incorrectly. His name is Andre Ovredal. He got famous for doing Troll Hunter, which we've been on the show. I believe was that a me pick?
That was a me pick, yeah.
It was Found Footage February last year.
Yeah.
And that was a good time. Anyway, so the whole conceit of this is that that we're in Virginia, and this sheriff's department finds the body of this woman fully intact in the basement of a house. She was partially dug up, but there were multiple murders. Like, everybody in the house is dead, and so they have all these corpses, and they can kind of tell what the cause of death is from more or less everybody except for this Jane Doe, because she is unnamed. She's completely nude, not a scratch on her body. So they take her to the coroner, and the coroner's name is Tommy, and his son Austin is kind of like his assistant / coroner in training, I guess. And you get a little bit of nice world building, little exposition where Austin's girlfriend Emma comes down, and she's like, "We're gonna go see a movie," and he says, "I'll meet you later," because this Jane Doe came in. He wants to help his dad, but they have this little conversation before she leaves, where he's saying like he has not yet told his dad, who is still grieving the death of his wife, Austin's mother. He has not grieved correctly, but he's kind of thrown himself into work, and so Austin is afraid of explaining to his dad. He does not want to be a coroner. He doesn't want to be in that in the funerary business. So she leaves, and they begin this autopsy, and it's kind of procedural in a way that works really well for me. So they are categorizing things. They're cataloging that her wrists and ankles were broken, and they see that her waist was corseted, and they make a comment like, "Didn't that go out of style a couple 100 years ago?" And they can't figure out the time of death. She doesn't have rigor mortis, which does go away after a couple hours. So, I mean, there are a couple slightly clunky things in the screenplay that I can overlook because it's very well acted. So her tongue has been severed, and a tooth is missing, and there is a datura in her mouth, Jimson weed, which is supposedly a paralytic agent. That's also not true, but again, we're just going with the flow here because this movie is a decade old and was really trying, was shooting for the fences, so it's okay if there are some small things that aren't entirely right. And so they're talking about like, okay, that Jimson weed is native to New England. So they're thinking that she may have grown up there, or that her body was murdered there and then, moved. And they're just trying to figure out a cause of death. So they cut her open, and they find that her lungs have like smoke inhalation damage. And they also see that there are stab wounds in her internal organs. They find in her stomach a piece of gauze or cheesecloth or something with the missing tooth in it, and it also has some like writing like sigils on it, and they the mystery continues on, and because they cannot read what the shroud is. At this point, some supernatural stuff starts to happen in the room, and the radio starts to sing. I love the sound design in this movie so much. The radio starts to sing this "Let the Sun Shine In" song that is kind of the musical motif, and then there's the ringing of the bells that they put on corpses' toes to
which. I gotta shout out this. This is a classic. I want to throw it back to Spielberg here. This is like the yellow barrels in the first Jaws movie, right? Like you don't even have to show what's happening. You just have to use this little bell tingle every once in a while, and you're like, oh fuck! Like it's a brilliant tension builder without showing you a goddamn thing.
Well, it's just it's just so good because it's not just about the lore of the body that they're looking at too. You're also talking about myths and lore within within coroner and autopsy and all and medicine, right? Like so there's this science and supernatural where they overlap that I just am tickled by, in this whole piece, because this is where they come together. Like this is sort of the battle is like the science versus the supernatural that happens in this basement morgue. It's great, and the sound is so it scares the shit out of me still. Like it's
watching this with
fuck.
surround sound is the best.
Like
some movies.
Could you imagine how many bell tones they had to figure out which one was going to be the right one? Like that's a complicated procedure.
The Foley work in this movie is fantastic, and I can tell they did the work because this movie is not gory. It is exactly what it says it is, though. It's an autopsy. And so when they are slicing things, you get the nasty, like, squishy sounds. And when they're moving organs around and, the when the fly comes out of her nostril. I mean, it is a gross movie. And I think that the most important thing about witch movies, and surprise, she's a witch. We're getting there. But the thing I love about a witch movie is when it really leans into the fact that witchcraft, if it's like dark witchcraft, they're using a lot of bodily fluids, and it's gross, this like menstrual blood, because, and also maybe even it's not if it's dark witchcraft, but if we're just talking about true witchcraft or even brujeria, which is dark witchcraft, I suppose, but they're using, either sacrificial blood or menstrual blood because of the fact that women were seen as unclean when they were in the past. They were seen as unclean when they were menstruating, and so that blood had power also because it showed like the connection between women's power of life and death. And I mean, these are things that I'm sure there are tons of think pieces on from this movie for the last 10 years. But I love a gross. I mean, and think about witches as like sin eaters or healers. The idea of like bodily fluids and phlegm, things like that to try and heal the sick, when we didn't know germ theory and all sorts of things. I really just find those things so useful in witch lore, and that's specifically why I picked this movie, is because I think it does witch lore better than almost anything that's come out recently. And I say recently as in the last 10 years. So anyway, we do get to the part Matt was talking about where they realize that she has a second set of skin, and it has runes all over it, and I'm also glossing over the fact that Stanley the cat is found horrifically maimed in the air ducts, and Tommy mercy kills Stanley and is like, I don't want to talk about it. And it's kind of like reinforcing this idea that, one, no one is safe, and two, that Tommy is... he's more worried about holding it together, like that's his whole thing, is like this kind of like tragic toxic masculinity, honestly. This like, I cannot share my feelings because things need to get done. So in any case, they go back and they're continuing the autopsy, and they realize that she's a witch, by reading the shroud gets flopped over, and it says Leviticus 20:22 or whatever, and it says, like, if you use dark forces, you are a witch. And so they realized that she was an innocent during the Salem witch trials, and she was horribly tortured and then murdered, and this is her revenge. Now, I also am skipping over the fact that they are pursued through the hallways by dark figures, which appear to be the corpses that were in the morgue already. And at one point, Tommy axes one of them in the chest, and then the lights come back on because they've been flickering, and it is not a corpse that has risen from the grave. It is Emma. She came back to meet up with Austin like she said she would, and his dad killed his girlfriend. So again, no one's safe. So they go back in, they're continuing the autopsy, and the idea is that she is kind of like an elemental. She's a force of nature. If you are in her path, she will kill you. She's just she's a force of rage, right?
Yeah.
And so this acceptance comes over Tommy, and he says, do what you want to me, but please leave my son alone. He's innocent. So she does everything to him that was done to her. So his wrists are broken, his ankles are broken. You can tell that he's being stabbed. You can see he exhales smoke, like his lungs are being torched from the inside, but she won't let him die. And so finally he begs Austin to kill him. He stabs him in the heart. He dies. And then he hears that there's been a big storm this whole time, and they couldn't get out because a tree fell over the kind of like the storm doors, so they couldn't get out. He hears the sheriff, who they called earlier, say, I'm here, we're trying to get you out, try the door. So he goes up the spiral staircase and just trying the doors, and he's like, and the guy's saying, push, and let me in, let us in. And Austin says, I can't. And the sheriff keeps saying, let me in. And then it transitions to the fucking song, and he starts
singing the song, and it's so eerie.
Perfect. And Austin realizes that he can't get out. His father's corpse shows up in front of him. It shocks him. He falls off of the stairs, dies, and then it's shown that everyone is dead. The corpses were never moved. When Tommy sacrifices himself to save Austin, the witch body heals itself. Mm-hmm. And so when they come in, when the sheriff and everybody else are coming in and looking at the 3 dead bodies and a completely intact Jane Doe corpse, it looks to them that Austin killed his dad and girlfriend. And there was no storm. All of that was just kind of presented by the witch to keep them there so that she could exact some more revenge. The last scene is that the sheriff says, get this body out of my county, take it somewhere else. And a guy is driving her to the next county over, and the radio starts to play some static, and then the song starts again. And the one thing I don't like is that her toe jiggles, and it makes the bell ring. I wish that they wouldn't have shown that. I wish that we would have just heard the bell ring.
Yeah,
it's the only
not
note
see the body
that I have.
move. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree 100%. Just a great fucking movie. Some of these movies we can't really make jokes. There's no jokes to be made. The movie's perfect. Go watch it. See the movie.
And it's also really interesting to think about this movie as it's a cursed object, but that cursed object is a woman's body.
Yeah.
And that was true and fucked up in 2016 or 2016, just as fucked up as it is in 2026. That idea that being a woman is a sentence in and of itself. I really like the fact that when you watch this, I believe, and I'm led to believe, that she was not a witch. She was imbued with dark power after she was brutally tortured and killed.
Right.
And that's why she has no remorse. She will kill everything in her path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that like telling that story a little bit, or having those themes talked about, that's not putting us in like colonial New England is nice, right? Like, cause you can put us in that time period and we can like see all the fucked up shit and like, that's fine. But then to still have those themes beyond in, like you said, in 2016, and as we're talking about in 2026, to still be talking about, to still have a woman's body be the catalyst for those themes in a less fucked up way is great. You know, this movie rips. This movie absolutely rips.
This episode is brought to you by Facebook. So you were scrolling on Marketplace, and there it was, the bike you'd been searching for. You sent a message, and it turned out the seller was super chatty, kind of funny, and an avid cyclist. The next thing you know, you're in a cycling crew. Well, a community cycling group. The thing about Facebook, you might find more than what you're looking for. From a browse to a bike ride, this summer find more on Facebook.
Hi, friends. The world got you down. Don't be sad. Listen to $2 Late Fee with Zach and Dustin.
$2 Late Fee is the podcast that celebrates the best decade of entertainment, the 1980s. We pick a movie and soundtrack from our youth that we loved and see if it holds up today. We also interview your favorite celebrities from that era.
All in the spirit of positivity and togetherness. Check us out at $2latefee.com.
Scott, if you were having people over to watch this incredible piece of art, what else would you have them watch?
Well, this was really hard because I would want them to have a good time, and I wouldn't want to be proselytizing them. But I feel like if we wanted to take this same concept as like a woman's body is dangerous and make it into something that is kind of fun and quirky, but also has that hit, Jennifer's Body.
Ah, nice.
Kyle, I got two, so why don't you go next in case one of them is yours?
All right, cool. I am going to pick a more convoluted puzzle that happens in a morgue, and that's Phantasm.
Ooh.
Interesting. All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I was torn between two things because Matt Kelly loves symmetry. And I'm pretty sure that a couple weeks ago we talked about The Last Shift, and I said that my double feature would be Autopsy of Jane Doe. So obviously, Autopsy of Jane Doe's double feature should be The Last Shift.
All right.
But if we want to change it up, put on something fun, I know a really great morgue-based movie that not nearly enough people have seen, and I would be like, yo, we should watch The Boneyard.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think I'm
really
going to put I'm going to go
s-
with Boneyard on this one, Kyle, if you're keeping track.
I got it.
I can't believe that neither of you guys picked Hellraiser, because that's another cursed object movie where literally you can't get you can't talk your way out of that. You're fucked no matter what.
You're fucked.
No, you can't.
Well, speaking about being fucked, come check us out on all of our social media, HMM Podcast on everything. Support the show by going to patreon.com/HMM Podcast or go to hmmpodcast.dashery.com to support the show by buying some merch. Now, Scott, what have you watched, listened to, read, etc. that you want to talk about?
Now, I am knee-deep in a 700-page book, so I will probably be talking about that next week when I finish it. But I have also truly been enjoying a relatively new record. I think it's maybe a couple months old at this point. Have you guys ever heard of Koyo?
No.
Koyo?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen that name, though, now that you've spelled it.
Yeah, I think that they were they were like opening for some bigger pop punk bands recently. Like, I don't know, but again, I don't really. I probably should have looked up who they've been touring with. But their new record is called Barely Here, and it is so good. It kind of it is very reminiscent of a lot of emo that has been coming out.
I was going to say, I'm looking at their page right now. They're a fairly new band. They formed in 2020.
Yeah, they're not.
But It says that most of their influences were Long Island emo and metalcore, melodic hardcore bands, including but not limited to Brand New, Crime in the Stereo, Glassjaw, Taking Back Sunday, and The Movie Life.
Nice.
Yeah, and like it's interesting that they said Movie Life, because Movie Life influenced Newfound Glory, and Newfound Glory created basically all of EC Core, which we've discussed before. I do think that they have a lot of pop punk sensibility, but it's not in a major melodic sense, but more in a minor melodic sense.
And they're on the Pure Noise record label, which I feel like is basically the Easy Core like record
which
label.
Is fun, but I would not consider them Easy Core in the slightest. But they don't sound like 4 Year Strong. They don't sound like Newfound Glory. They don't sound like, any of those bands. But it's just a really good, like, it's a punk rock meets emotional hardcore record. It also reminds me a lot of like Census Fail. Old Census Fail.
I am definitely checking out both of their
albums. It's a really good record.
Yeah.
Definitely in my top 10 for this year.
I'm very, my God, for a band that has only been around 6 years, they have a shit ton of music videos.
Yeah. It's because it's like single after single gets a music video. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what young bands do.
I'm going to close it out, Kyle. So what do you want to talk about next?
More music coming from me as well. Masks Off by Jesse Wells. Jesse Wells, a folk artist who I didn't know this because I found the record and he had played with Margot Price. So that's like how I found him. And but apparently like he had played on Colbert, and some of the songs like he did went huge. One of them was called Join Ice, right? Like, and it was this,
I know that song.
Very sarcastic rally to join ICE if you're a big dumb idiot, right?
Yeah.
To paraphrase, whole album comes out. And it's great. I think that like the politically charged Dylan comparisons are bound to come. It's a little more rock, and I actually think there's more humor in his lyricism, more like a John Prine with maybe the political leanings of like a Dylan or of that nature. But even more so, even like a little more cutting. Like some of like I was thinking like, Rage Against the Machine lyrics almost like level of, or maybe let's say like Tom Morello's sort of like folk, like vibe, the Night Watchman level of stuff. But Jesse Wells, but I never liked Tom Morello's voice all that much. So his stuff I didn't dig, but Jesse Wells really brings it all together for me. In the realm of things that I like, and the lead single, the title, the album's title, Masks Off, which is the lead single off of it, or the leading track off of it, I should say, and the whole thing's just killer album. So I love it.
I want to talk about a little obscure movie that I saw that no one's really talking about, Obsession, which
spoiler free, please.
I will be as spoiler free as possible, because what I want to say about this movie is this has got to be in a very different way. I will say Obsession has a good sense of humor about itself while it's being uncomfortable. This reminded me of how I felt when I saw Hereditary in theaters with just like how much dread just like kind of sat right in this part of my chest for like the entire movie, because like it's juggling these very interesting big ideas. And it does it so well. It's just a really, really fucking well done movie. I have a beef, and I was talking about this beef with Dylan as well, and this has nothing to do with Obsession. It has everything to do with the way that we are advertising these movies right now.
Yeah.
Because what I kept hearing about Obsession and Backrooms was, check out these YouTubers who are making amazing movies.
Yeah.
Making hour-long short films and uploading them to YouTube is not being a fucking YouTuber. Like you are a director getting your stuff out there as much as you possibly can. Yep. And I even saw that the director of Obsession was like, I have never once considered myself a fucking YouTuber. No. Like he's like, this is just what the 2026 equivalent of making a bunch of films that play at film festivals as shorts until someone's willing to give you a chance. Like, I truly, when I heard people saying that, I really did think like, oh, was this guy like a movie critic who like, no, he's a legitimate director who's made really great, effective short films and uploaded them to YouTube. My other hot take equally, I love some of these people's channels. Video essays are not documentaries, and it drives me nuts when someone's like, this is my documentary about this closed Disney ride, and it's like, it's just archive footage with you reading a script over it. That's not, like, you didn't put in that much legwork to call yourself a documentarian. Like, it just, right. Like, those are two that just, words are important, titles do fucking matter, and like, stop using them in a way that takes away what this dude is, which is a fucking filmmaker. He's a filmmaker, and he's a very talented filmmaker, and I cannot wait to see what his next movie is, and stop trying to relegate him to like, check out what this YouTuber was able to make. Like,
that's
well,
wild.
I mean, that's like the same. That's like to echo that. Like, yes, talk about Backrooms, talk about Kane Parsons, and it's like he's a visual effects artist that put a whole idea into play that used YouTube as the platform, right? Like that's but that's and so I saw Backrooms. I'm not choosing it. I'm not talking about it on here, and that's fine. I liked it. It was I've enjoyed my watch, all of it, right? Doesn't matter. But what does matter is that Mark Duplass came on, and he was like, because people were claiming that he sort of shadow directed the movie, right? So he had to come on and clear the air and be like, I walked onto that set, and like Kane Parsons knew exactly what he wanted. He's been creating this world for years, right? Like, so living in this world, which is an expansive universe. So it's like, and now you had the ability to build said universe and play in said universe on a level that you've done in your head already. For so long. It's like, of course the dude knew what he wanted. He also had the money to do it. Like, God bless him, Like, they had a lot of backing, which is great. You need it. Like, you need all that money to make that world exist. For sure.
It's similar to the Poltergeist thing, right? Like, one of these days we're going to have to watch the original Poltergeist and really discuss it, because I do think people who really don't pay attention to what Tobe Hooper is capable of are the people that are like, well, Spielberg clearly made this movie. And then you watch that movie, and there's shit in that movie that Spielberg wouldn't touch with a 10-foot fucking pole.
100%. 100%. Right.
It's like there is so much of Tobe Hooper's fingerprints over there, and it's what happens when you're like, when the producer of the movie just happens to be like one of the most famous filmmakers or independent filmmakers in the world. People are always just going to assume, well, then they made that movie. Right. I wouldn't be shocked if you found out that like 84 people thought that about Gremlins with Joe Dante. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you'll find think pieces where it's like, Spielberg secretly directed Gremlins for Joe Dante, but then like Joe Dante had so many other successes in that same world that it probably shut people the fuck up on that.
Right.
But Tobe Hooper did it. Like, that was like the end of Tobe Hooper's mainstream big like home run successes. So it's like,
and it's so shitty because there's like, there wasn't an outlet for that to not be the story, like the louder that gets put out. Well, that's the conversation about language that you're talking about.
The end thing is like, this has been, by all accounts, a fucking fantastic year for theatrical horror so far. But like,
so exciting.
Between Backrooms, between what I'm hearing about, between Obsession, what I've been hearing about Backrooms, like the people that really seem to think that the Faces of Death remake is fantastic, which it's from the people who did Cam. I'm willing to believe that they probably did a fun take with Faces of Death. Like, I haven't seen Iron Lung yet, but apparently that is incredible.
Right.
Really, the only one that everyone seems to agree was dog shit was Passenger, which
is
had
from
a
this
really
director.
compelling. What?
Which is from this director of Jane Doe.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah,
Holy
listen.
shit.
Compelling as hell trailer, I will say. Like, that trailer, I was like, what the fuck is this? But then everything I've heard is like, that's the first like 5 minutes of the movie, and then it's just dog shit after that. But
hey, can I ask you guys a quick question about Backrooms?
Yeah.
You don't have to have watched it to really answer this, but I want your opinions. I saw some discussion on the internet, and people were like blowing their loads because somebody said, oh my God, it's like the Backrooms are the labyrinth and the monster is the Minotaur, and I'm like, isn't that just obvious? I mean, I haven't even seen Backrooms, and it seems like just an obvious take on a universal concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say that the little bit that I heard, which is not much. I mean, I know Barb's oldest saw it with his dad, and he was like, it was really good. But like that's all he really had to say about it. He's like, you should see it. It's good. I know that
it's not a glowing review if both of the people that you know who have seen it are like, it's good.
Keep in mind, like his attention span is almost non-existent, so it is what it is. But
Kyle's right here. You shouldn't talk about him like that.
That's true.
What?
But oh my god, when I was listening to Colors in the Dark, both Becca and oh my god. Kyle, your ex-boss, Elric.
My boss.
Elric. Goddamn.
I kept wanting to say
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, I almost said L. Ron and L. Wood, and I knew both of them were wrong. They were both talking about how, like, that was a unique experience for them because it was a movie that their kids really wanted to see because their kids had seen the shorts on YouTube.
Okay.
And he's like, they were both like, we walked out of it being like, wow, that was like a pretty good, interesting visual movie. But then, like, on the ride home, instead of us being the ones trying to explain all this symbolism and stuff, like our kids were explaining it to us. And he's like, and it wasn't like, I think that's kind of the point. It's not like it's deep and it scratches an itch, but
but it's for a younger audience.
It gets a younger audience who's not used to having to like scratch that itch.
Use their brain. Like they're like it, which is good. Look, if it's something that will make people think about, if it makes youth think cinema on a deeper level, then I'm all for it. I'm not shitting on kids using their brain. When I said use their brains, I meant because like
so much of it's handed
if we're gonna
to
shit
them.
on exactly. If we're gonna shit on YouTubers, it's gonna be the fucking cocoa melon of it all, where 100%. It's literally like everything is. There is no media literacy, and that's not just 12-year-olds. That's a lot of fucking people.
That's YouTube, unfortunately.
We were literally sitting next to a mother and daughter who's the daughter, I couldn't hear the conversation, but clearly the daughter would, every little while would be whispering to mom about something that was happening on the screen, right? Like, and that's like, that is exactly, and that type of theater going experience is super exciting. The fact that that's happening, where like, kids are excited to bring their parent or parental figures or sibling, whatever it is, to a theater to see this thing and to explore this thing that like is a concept. I mean, it's a full blown concept. There's lore that like is very loose. You can get lost in the back rooms. It's also like to what you were saying, Scott. It is. It's like that's psychoanalytic theory and lore that's all then moved into pop psychology, which is also attainable and accessible. And the movie is set in 1990, which is like the turn of when that becomes the access point for our generation and generations, and a generation that is before the filmmaker. So you have this whole span of like accessibility in this movie, and it's great. Yeah, I loved it.
100%. You know what else is really great? The Horror Movie Night podcast. So thank you everybody for listening. We will be back next week with even more Horror Movie Night goodness.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.